Hi all. Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday morning. We have a lot to cover today. Actually, we just have a few things for the royals. 80% of this video is going to be Harry, Meghan, and this whole Spotify thing, okay? Because you know this has just exploded across social media. So let's just jump in and we'll get started, shall we? Let's go. To start with really quickly, King Charles appointed Queen Camilla to the Most Noble Order of the Thistle. This is the highest honor in Scotland. Very nice. Congratulations, Camilla. All right, moving on. A quick update for Sophie. Remember I told you she was made a Dame Grand Cross at Buckingham Palace? Well, now her banner is hanging in the Priory Church in Clerkenwell. Very nice. All right, next up, we're going to touch on a story. I don't know how much I believe this, but they're saying that Prince Andrew was asked to vacate the Royal Lodge, even though he has a 75-year lease, because they wanted renovations to begin on the house so that Catherine and William could move in. I'm calling uncle on that one for the simple fact that Catherine and William moved into Adelaide Cottage so that they could be close to Windsor and they could be close to the kids' school. So they're saying that Andrew interrupted the plan because he decided to pay for the renovations himself out of his inheritance. I don't know about this story. All right, moving on. All right, this is just something I wanted to touch on. You guys remember I showed you that Princess Anne was out with her brother yesterday, and what I didn't catch was her hat. This is the hat with the big red plume that sparked Feathergate, because it's this hat and the plume that blocked Harry in the church. Remember at the coronation, you couldn't see him because the plume was right in front of him? Yeah, I should have caught it, but I didn't. But yeah, I love that hat. Moving on. All right, next up, I just wanted to show you this. We know that Prince Harry has a thing for speaking. So did Meghan Markle. They were both asking for like a ridiculous amount of money. This was on Twitter, and a big thank you to the wanton wench for this information. What really caught my attention was this. The category for his public comments is foreign policy, political commentation, celebrity headlights, and humanitarianism. Yeah, no. It starts at $100,000. I don't think anybody's hired them since they've been in the United States. Moving on. All right, here we go. Now, Meghan and Harry, it is official. They have parted with Spotify. A joint statement was put out from Archewell Audio that said that Spotify and Archewell Audio have mutually agreed to part ways and are proud of the series we made together. Who are they kidding? They claim that this was a #1 podcast. If it was a #1 podcast, it wouldn't be separating from the #1 platform. Okay? Like, it makes absolutely no sense. We know that it's crap. Now, there was a lot of talk about how much they got paid for this. They're saying it was up to $20 million. And I've been telling you guys since the beginning that they did not make all that money. They had to produce content. And sure enough, that's what's come out. Now, we know there has to be more behind the scenes, but for right now, let's just focus on Patrick Christie and what he had to say. Listen to this.
Meghan Markle's Spotify podcast is in the toilet. Spotify have flushed it after just one series. They say it's a mutual decision, yeah? For the life of me, I cannot understand why Spotify, which offered around 18 million quid to Markle for her prolific spoken word, have pulled out of the deal. Sorry, mutually decided to part company. Mutually decided to part company. She treated us to such wisdom and insight as how she was never treated as a black woman until she met Harry, or how she didn't realise that being ambitious could be viewed negatively until she met Harry. There's a theme here, isn't there? Poor Harry. My favourite bit was when Mariah Carey called her a diva, and she absolutely hated it. Well, she's saying that, Meghan, because you're a massive diva. What Meghan wants, Meghan gets. I don't like the way that my cathedral smells. The non-stop drama, Meghan. That's why she's calling you a diva. Maybe, just maybe, your ambition was viewed negatively because people think it looks a lot like you married a prince to climb a social ladder, invited a load of celebs you've never met to your taxpayer-funded wedding, made the royal family miserable, moved to California and slagged everyone off, and then tried to make a quick buck, which has now, unsurprisingly, dried up. She bangs on about people seeing her as a black woman and judging her on her race. Well, the unfortunate truth, I think, for Meghan is that they don't do that. They actually judge her on the quality of her character. And people, including billion-dollar brands, don't like what they find below the surface.
I have to agree with what Royal News Network said. If the company was bringing in viewers and creating other content, Spotify would fight to keep them. But their investment was a mistake, so they dropped them, plain and simple. You know, when Archetypes was launched, on their website, she wrote, and I'm quoting, "I loved digging deep into meaningful conversations with my diverse and inspiring guests, laughing and learning with them." But what happened when Serena Williams came on? 98% of the talking was done by Meghan Markle. And then you come to find out that a lot of the stuff she said wasn't true. Remember the whole "there was a fire in Archie's room"? Let's not forget that her new representation, WME, is trying to put the spin on it that they're going to be looking for another streaming platform. Well, Spotify was the top one. If you can't make it there, where are you going to go? Well, wait, it gets better. Remember, they only work an hour a week on their charity, right? So you have to wonder how much they actually put into this. Sky News hit it on the head. Listen to this.
Harry, I see that Spotify have dumped, and I can't imagine why, because it was just such riveting audio.
Apparently it did rate well amongst some audiences, but...
I can tell you exactly who it would have rated well amongst, but yeah.
Yes, exactly. But apparently due to failing to meet the productivity benchmarks, lazy, they have failed to renew it for a second season, and she won't be getting that full payment. So that was a very expensive few episodes to put out, whatever she receives in the end. I mean, colour me shocked. This is a couple that thought attending a few ribbon cuttings and shaking hands of royal fans was too much work, that they had to abscond to the privacy of their Californian home on their privacy tour. But
there was one episode of a podcast with I think it was Serena Williams, where essentially she spoke the whole time.
Classic, gotta love Frontline. And speaking of that, yes. Netflix, their deal with Netflix is also under jeopardy, in jeopardy, because apparently this documentary that they were making about injured veterans has become more about Meghan than about the veterans.
I mean, even Omid Scobie is like, oh, it was a mutual decision. It wasn't a mutual decision, guys. You don't mutually decide to walk away. She probably got $6 million. There was another $12 million on the table. You don't mutually agree to walk away from $12 million. But I told you guys that they were having financial issues. The money wasn't coming in, did I not? And now they're talking about the Netflix, because now they want to be behind the Netflix camera as part of their deal. Again, with the streaming diet, they want to do fun flicks and rom-coms, but they don't know any more about doing that than they did about doing a streaming podcast. No more than that. So let me point something out to you really quickly. They're copying the Obamas, and I think they hope to make money like the Obamas, but here's the truth. This is the whole money. They made $18 million on Spotify, but they didn't. They raised, I'm air quoting, $13 million on Archewell, but actually that just came from two donors, and I have a feeling that's Oprah and Tyler Perry. They got $2 million a year from the King, but that's been cut off. Supposedly they can make $1 million per speech, but nobody's hired them for any of the speeches. So actually the only money they still have coming in is from Penguin Random House and Netflix. And I think those deals are getting ready to go down the toilet. Now, for those saying, oh, it was an award-winning podcast, let's take a step back. Meghan Markle's ex-head of audio, this is Rebecca Sananis. She came out, come to find out, she created the podcast, not Meghan. And then she stepped down after 18 months. Again, difficult to work with. She said that the people behind the podcast are, quote, undervalued, undercredited, and underpaid producers. She said, I am the executive producer and creator of Archetypes. So she's one of the people who basically, she took a jab and said, this wasn't Meghan, this was me. Now, before anybody goes, oh, but she won the People's Choice for this. We all saw the Sussex squad online saying, call up and vote over and over and over and over and over again. It was the People's Choice. That's how she won. It wasn't that she actually did anything. So let me throw in some reminders for you. It was a year ago that they put out that Christmas special that bombed so badly. And then they did another commercial with the Obamas and some other people trying to pull people in, and it didn't work. We all remember all the trouble that they caused with Joe Rogan and the whole COVID thing. I mean, it was literally a joke what they did. Then what we heard then was that Spotify took control and threatened to sue if they didn't put something out because it had really gone too far. So what it comes down to, ladies and gentlemen, is Spotify decided to cut their losses and run. They have not done well. They're having to lay people off. You know, all this stuff about we're going to another platform. Nobody else is going to give them a deal, seeing as how Spotify gave them that deal, Netflix gave them that deal, and they didn't get a quality product. Neither one of them have gotten a quality product from them, okay? No one's interested in anything they have to say unless it has something to do with Harry's mental health or the royal family. So their star is falling massively. We know because we saw it ourselves. There was tension about how far down the charts her podcast dropped. Her first one came in behind Whale Sleep Sounds. We know that Spotify was accused of using its own official podcast chart to keep Meghan at number one when she was way behind Joe Rogan and other stars in the number of daily listeners. Remember, we did videos on all of this, okay? And now the head of Spotify admitted that he got carried away and he overinvested in a lot of these podcasts, which is why he has now resigned and is gone. They're talking now that Meghan may have to relaunch the Tig. She's wanting to do a website like Goop, like Gwyneth Paltrow has, where, you know, apparently it's worth $250 million. Here's an issue with that, though. Gwyneth Paltrow worked on that for years and years and years and put her blood, sweat, and tears into it. Harry and Meghan are lazy, and they don't put the effort into anything. So I guarantee you that's going to fail as well. Now, if all of this wasn't bad enough, you should know that the Spotify exec and podcaster Bill Simmons has called Harry and Meghan effing grifters. That's right. He sold the ringers to Spotify in 2020. He's risen through the tech company ranks, and he said that they're nothing but grifters. Okay, so apparently they didn't leave on good terms. This guy is the head of podcast innovation and monetization at Spotify, and he said, the effing grifters, that's the podcast we should have launched with them. I got to get drunk one night and tell the story of the Zoom I had with Harry to try to help him with a podcast idea. It's one of my best stories. Oh my God. He said, and I'm quoting, shoot this guy to the sun. I'm so tired of him. What does he bring to the table? He just whines about stuff and keeps giving interviews. Who cares? Who cares about your life? You weren't even the favorite son. You live in Montecito and you just sell documentaries and podcasts and nobody cares about what you have to say unless you talk about the royal family and you just complain about them. Dang. I think it's pretty safe to say at this point they did not leave on good terms. All right, let's finish this up. We're going to be finishing it up with more information about Christopher Bouzy. You won't believe it. Remember yesterday I told you that he made an account on Spoutable for the company Detectify. Well, now he put up a tweet that said he's been a paid client of theirs. He had a video call with their account manager and about their mission weeks ago. And let's see how they handle it tomorrow. And just as a reminder, he said that they did not create that account, that their system automatically created it to analyze the Spoutable website, okay? And that he had nothing to do with it. Well, people jumped all over that because if what Christopher Bouzy was saying is true, then that company creates accounts on all of its client servers. It does phone verification and then, makes random posts and likes of a political nature. So you have to wonder what the heck is happening. Well, Detectify put out a response to questions due to that. And as you can see, number one, they said they do not create accounts. And they reiterated that they didn't set anything up on Spoutable and they still want Spoutable to eliminate the account that's masquerading as them. They also said they don't comment on security reports and they advocate for providing them with the necessary content. Basically, what they're saying is what Christopher Bouzy put up is a lie. Well, we all knew this was coming. Yes, Christopher Bouzy is saying that that company is being racist towards him. Oh my God. You could only pull the race card so many times. And he's now trying to convince his followers that it isn't credible anymore. Like, who is he kidding? So with all of this mess, it was inevitable. Mr. Bouzy was going to put out a statement to his followers, trying to triple talk his way out of this mess. I haven't read his statement, but I'm pretty sure he's probably asking for money in there because that's his other thing. And of course, after all of that, he says that they're going to close their account if they don't apologize in the morning. Somehow, I don't think that company is going to mind. All right, you guys, I really want your comments. What do you think about one of the Spotify execs calling them grifters? I mean, I'm just shocked by, I definitely want your comments, so put them in. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you've already hit the button, double check, make sure you're still subscribed. Don't forget you can find the links to my Twitter, my Getter, my Rumble, my email, and my physical address in the description box. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund or through the thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.